Patch notes review time. Let's do the things. Alright. So this is the 9.7 mid-season update. Alright, so obviously we have the Nickelodeon skins. Guys, how do we feel about the Nickelodeon skins so far, now that we got to play with them? I'll say, because for me personally, like, I've been pretty thrilled, like, seeing them in game and stuff like that. I like all the franchises they chose. The one thing that I've heard from a lot of people was that they wanted one SpongeBob skin, and I'm like, I don't want one SpongeBob skin, I want, like, a whole SpongeBob event. I want a lot of SpongeBob stuff, realistically. SpongeBob is a really big franchise. Like, that is a popular franchise. Like, all of these are decently popular, but I don't think any of these are as popular as SpongeBob. You know what I mean? I gotta say, for me personally, like, I want SpongeBob to have his own event, and it's okay that he wasn't in this one, because hopefully it's coming later. Squidward Cthulhu, yeah, and when he goes into his ultimate, I want his legs to be like how they are when he ate all the Krabby Patties. I want it to be that big Squidward, you know? I'd buy all the SpongeBob skins, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think everybody wants more of those realistically. And then we got the Battle Pass. The Battle Pass I'm not super excited about. I feel okay. Patrick Kuzumbo, I heard Patrick Bacchus, and I like that a lot better, personally. I'm a big fan of the Patrick Bacchus on my end. So, I think Patrick Bacchus would be really good. Living like Larry Hercules, that would be amazing. That'd be 10 out of 10. Yo, what's up, Kage? Hello, hello. Alright. So the Crab Charybdis is really good. I like that skin. I think the Maiden East set is really nice. I think the recolor for Humdelier actually looks better than the OG skin. I'm not going to lie to you. And then we have the Scales Nemesis, and that skin's okay. I feel like it's shaped kind of weird. Like, her body shape feels kind of strange. I don't know. Maybe it's just the Nemesis model, but I feel like something's off with it. I can't tell you what, though. Toxic Overload Achilles. Like, really, really good skin. I thought we were going to have a Nickelodeon Battle Pass, but I'm a bit dumb. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I feel that. Let's say, it's a little bit of a bummer for people who are expecting it to be a Battle Pass, but I think, like, because people are buying the events, they're just going to do events instead, you know? So Achilles, like, Toxic Overload Achilles, when he's outside of his armor, is kind of uggy, but inside of his armor looks really good. So that's that one. Lich Queen Bologna. Oh, that's coming out on the 26th. Okay. So this is the bonus patch skins. And Honeybee Aphrodite. I think these look pretty cool. Danny Phantom, yeah. Danny Phantom's sick. Oh, dude, Glub Geb is gonna be amazing. This is probably one I'm the most excited for out of all the skins. I'm not gonna lie. The Spirit Father Odin skin's cool. Like, this entire line of skins is always really good, but Glub Geb is the way. For sure. We love some Glub Geb. Also, there's so much stuff that you get for free, too, with the Nickelodeon event. That's the other thing I like. If you're into the announcer packs and all that stuff, they give away so much cool stuff, dude. Amikio's gonna love there's another B skin. That's very true, yeah. I can't blame them. I bought all the Slipknot skins and cosmetics. Exactly. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Still a lot of value in the Battle Pass. I vibe with that. Smite Knight stuff. Jade Corruption Joust. Interesting. That's interesting that they're doing that for a Smite Knight. So that, I guess you'll only run that with a party of 3 then. Cool. I'm fine with the event. It's reasonably priced, which is dope. Strongly agree. I was worried they were going to make it 8,000 gems. I'm not going to lie. Because wasn't the Slipknot Battle Pass, like, or the Slipknot event pretty expensive? How much did that one cost? Like, overall? You can now buy Tier 2 skins with favor. This is pretty big. It's 25,000 favor, but that's still pretty solid. I feel like most of the Tier 2 skins are, like, glorified recolors anyway, so I think this is a good change. Oh, and the Shadow skins are 50 favor? 50k favor? Wait, where do they... Oh, Shadow skins. There we go. Okay, 50,000 favor, direct purchase moving forward. That's a good change for people who couldn't get them for sure. Alright, Jotun's Vigor was unchanged. Jotun's Cunning. Okay, so this is one of the new ones. I got 750,000 favor. Finally have a reason to use it. Yeah. I think I'm at like 600,000 right now. I bought every emote, though. Alright, every time you damage an enemy god with an ability, you gain a stack of Wit. At 2 stacks, your next non-ultimate ability that damages an enemy god gets 25% of its cooldown instantly refunded. So, it's 25% of its cooldown instead of like a flat like time, which I like, you know? Because it's 25% of its like what, total cooldown, remaining cooldown. Let's say, does anybody have confirmation on how this one works? Is it remaining cooldown or total? It just says 25% of its cooldown. So I feel like that would be total cooldown, most likely total. That's what I was thinking. The way it's worded, I feel like they would say remaining if it were remaining, right? But either way, it's from what I've seen, like I've seen people cheesing with this on characters like Loki and Achilles and stuff like that to just like burn through their cooldowns super quick, and it's pretty cracked. I'm not gonna lie. I say it doesn't state that it has a cooldown. I don't know if it has a cooldown in game, but either way, if it doesn't, it's going to be shenanigans. Especially, it synergizes well with Boomba's hammer. This is nuts on Set and Uller tried it yesterday. That makes sense. Yeah, characters like that for sure would be kind of ridiculous. I feel like for me personally, like looking at this item, realistically, there's so many characters that can abuse this well with Boombas. It's just going to be nuts because you can build this and Boombas and be at 30% CDR. You know, and then Power Pop will take you to 40. That doesn't even overcap you. I feel like, especially with the 60% cooldown item too, on top of that, you know, like for people who are going to build that, it just gets even crazier. Because then, you know, you only need another 20% CDR item. You can pick up like a breastplate. You can pick up Erendite and something else. Like Erendite Hydras. So Erendite Hydras, Boombas, and this, plus the earring gets you to 60% CDR, which is kind of insane. I believe I used that on Cleo and cooldowns were kind of crazy. Yeah, it's wild. It's like having a Boomba's hammer early, honestly. Which is kind of good for characters that like rely on Boomba's hammer because of the fact that like the biggest problem with Boombas was that you didn't get it until level 20. So you're pretty much like waiting on that 20% CDR until level 20. You say realistically so much I've been saying it. I have a few things like that are just like kind of Vince catchphrases. Monsieur Vince, Giga Chad. Jotun's Cunning is meant for Uller. Holy, yeah, it's wild. It's really wild. Have you gotten to play any on the new patch, Katie? Calamitous Rod of Tahuti unchanged, looks good. Perfected Rod of Tahuti, I like this a lot. As a Merlin player, this item excites me. Successfully damaging an enemy god applies a mark for 3 seconds, damaging him a second time, consumes the mark and gives you 10% movement speed, and reduces your non-ultimate ability, I'm assuming that's cooldowns, by 1.5 seconds. So, pretty much if you're hitting all the stuff and you're comboing super hard, you can probably schmooze through the stances pretty insane. On a character like Merlin, realistically. 60% CDR plus this item would go insane. It would go bananas. Boombas also slows your start down, so it's nice. Yeah, true. Alright, Bancroft's Talon. I love this change, personally. I don't think Rod is worth it till they change the price. You know what? It only gives 120 power. That's actually a really good point. It only gives 120 power. There's no % health shred, you know? You're choosing between the Burst of Calamitous or the cooldown stuff and movement speed of Perfected. I think you're right. Actually. Like, compare that to, like, Soul Reaver or Warlocks or items like that, you know? I like that this now is on Bancroft's Talon instead of on Rod of Tahuti. I used to only build Rod of Tahuti pretty much on auto-attack mages to get this passive because it's really good. Having it already on the lifesteal is great. Bancroft's Claw. I've tried this on Hades a few times. I don't really feel the impact of it, to be honest with you. Like, it might make my burst a little bit better, but I'm still just a really bad Hades player, and that might be what it comes down to. But I do think this is a really interesting item and a really unique item, and % health shred is really good right now, so. Okay, Ferocious Executioner. This is way better on Executioner than it ever was on Jotun's. It makes so much more sense to have it on, like, an auto-attack based item as opposed to an ability-based item, you know? So, I think having this here is really, really, really good. I like this a lot, personally. Alright, so pretty much your next basic attack marks an enemy god. If you hit the enemy, or the marked enemy hits you with a basic ability. Oh, I didn't realize it procced when they hit you too. That's crazy. I'll say, gain 1 stack. Each stack provides 2% increased damage towards the marked enemy, stacking up to 10 times, which is a 20% increased damage theoretically. So, I think this item is really good. I say, I really, really like Heavy Executioner right now. Just because, like, I'm a big fan of only needing to build one, like, penetration item. You really don't need another one if you build Heavy Executioner. 35% is a lot of pen. Work right now? I say, I can't right now, I'm sorry. Heavy Executioner is horrible on Hunters, though. Agree to disagree. Like, I've built it on Hunters and used it pretty well. Honestly, even with the attack speed cap, I still like it. I say, I just go for, like, a really heavy power build. That's the only thing. And I've been vibing with it. Like, realistically, Heavy Executioner and Chin Size, and you're pretty much at the cap. It's like Heavy Executioner, Chin Size, and like Hunter's Cowl, and you're there. So, like, I've been theory crafting with it on a few Hunters, and like I actually vibe heavy with it. Not gonna lie. I did Heavy Axe on Heim as well. I don't think it was worth it over a regular build. Gotcha. What about the other one though? Would you say Ferocious Executioner would be worth it on more Hunters now? Ferocious Executioner seems great on Charybdis. Yeah, Gamma said that earlier. I strongly agree. It's really good on Charybdis. Magi's Shelter. Okay, I think this item is actually like sleeper broken. Like, this thing is actually insane. Whenever your passive is consumed, the nearest god within 25 units gains a protection from a single hard crowd control effect for 5 seconds. If the passive is... Wait, what? What? I completely read it wrong. Frick, hold on. So the bubble doesn't pop when it ends? Am I dumb? Am I dumb? I completely read it wrong. I'm so stupid. Jenkins, you're right. I thought you were being nitpicky. You're 100% right. Gosh darn it, dude. Thank God. Thank God. Okay. That's really good. That's really good. Even still, it's broken. It's if it's consumed. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I thought it's if it wasn't consumed. 100% you're right. If it's consumed before time runs out, why doesn't it just say if they pop the bubble, you get a second of crowd control immunity? Like, could you imagine if they just worded it like that? I feel like that would make so much more sense. Either way. Okay. Both of these items are really insane. The first enemy god you hit with hard crowd control while you're protected becomes marked for revenge for 5 seconds. Gods marked for revenge cause enemy gods within 40 units to move 20% faster towards them and take 10% increased damage. So, pretty much, you move faster towards the enemies, and they take 10% increased damage, and that's nuts. Who would use revenge well? Assassins or diving warriors, in my opinion. I feel like any assassin can pick it up last item pretty easy. Like, with the current, like, assassin builds, it's really easy to get, like, CDR cap and percent pen cap without having to build too many items. So they're changing masks, and the new masks feel really good. Have you guys tried the masks at all yet? I feel like the new masks are, like, really, really good. Like, I feel like both of them are sick, actually. And I like the fact that you can earn back your stats if you build the way that you're supposed to. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me. I've been doing Neja support with Lonos and 60% CDR. It's pretty insane. It's really fun, yeah. I think that the masks are, like, legit good. And the reason that I think this is so good is because, again, you have to build into the role that you're supposed to be playing in order to not get the curse, like, effect from these. So, like, decreasing the damage that you deal, but you can earn it back if you have enough protections. And also, they chose to include the sustain for the support one, which is really good. Bonus gold, 15 health and mana. Obviously is super smart. You're ridiculously tanky early, yeah, for sure. I think I missed your comment. Do you think Perfected Rod is worth pairing with Boombas on Ymir jungle? I would say probably not. I say Perfected Rod, as far as I know, is bugged currently. And I don't even know if Rod of Tahuti is that worth it in general. And even still, Ymir's a burst god. I would say realistically, you're probably going to want to go like Calamitous Rod of Tahuti if you're going to do it. Because your freeze sets up Calamitous Rod hit super easy. Like, it's free real estate, basically. So if you're going, like, full burst Ymir, then it would be, like, in theory, Boombas, Chronos Pendant, like, for cooldowns. And then, like, Polynomicon, Soul Reaver, Calamitous Rod of Tahuti, and, like, Ethereal Staff, I guess. But you could probably swap out Ethereal Staff for Karen's Coin so you get some movement speed and percent pen in there too. That would put you at 30% pen and a lot of burst. But even still, like, I don't think that's a very good Ymir jungle build. I like Doomorb a lot on my Guardian jungles, like Ymir. And on my mage jungles too, same deal. So I just don't know that it's worth it realistically. But either way, I think both of these masks and the way that they change them is really good. I think the upgrades are nice. Let's say I think realistically, Lano's mask is pretty sick. It has crowd control reduction on there as well, just a little bit of extra sauce, give you something special since it doesn't have prots, unlike the other items. But it does still have, obviously, the mitigations on there, which is pretty big. And then, let's say, for each stack of bravery, gain 3% mitigations and provide 7 physical and magical protections to an allied god within 55 units. Kinda good. Kinda good. Not too shabby. What's up, Schlem? How you doing? Used it on Afro solo, super tanky, yeah. Yeah, you can become like a real legit bona fide support. Alright, Fighter's Mask. Only purchasable by Warriors and Guardians. Makes sense. 10 physical, 15 magical, 10 HP 5, 10% CDR. I say, the fact that this has 10% cooldown early is kind of nutty. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know that the 10% CDR was on there. 6% damage increase at level 1. 6% damage taken increase. 2 MP5 per 10% of your missing mana. Jeez. And it basically has the, like, Sands of Time passive. Or, like, Hydra's passive. That's kind of insane, honestly. Like actually breaking it down, that's kind of wild. 35 prods to your team, so that's pretty good as well. Yeah, it really is. I might try Mask Horror's Jungle. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more people starting Fighter's Mask. I'm not going to lie. This seems really good. The upgrade is 60 physical power. Jeez, that's like a jungle starter. That's wild. So, 20 HP 5, 10% cooldown still. When you remove a stack of weakness, you gain a stack of strength, 3% damage, and 2% movement speed. So late game, this becomes a movement speed item too, which makes it even stronger. What other starter items have movement speed on them? Hunter's Cowl and Leader's Cowl both have movement speed, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Do any of the other starters have movement speed on them? Gem of Focus has movement speed. 3% stacking per stack of focus. And is that all of them? Are those the only ones that give move speed? Flag gives movement speed too. Nobody builds it. I always forget that one. I thought there was one more. Okay. Yeah, flag gives movement speed. Flag is a meme item. I kind of agree. All right, now the big shakeup. This is what's been making everybody kind of crazy. Okay, is these items right here. The earrings. Okay, these earrings have been bananas, honestly. These earrings are crazy. So the tier 1, honestly, kind of sucks. It's 400 gold for 15 MP5. This is basically the equivalent to buying a chalice, I feel like. But you don't have to go back to base to refill it, but it's Chalice of Mana, so I don't know how good that is. They seem niche except for the cooldown one. Yeah, okay, I agree with that, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Alright, so Gleaming Ear Cuffs. This isn't too bad for 1300 gold for the stats that you get realistically. It still cracks me up when people buy Mana Chalice. Yeah, agreed. 20 fist power, 30 magic power, 15% attack speed, 15 MP5. It's okay. Like, these stats are okay for what you pay for it, realistically. Not amazing. But this item, however, like, this tier 2 item is probably worth buying on its own. Honestly. Like, realistically, like, I could see people rushing this instead of getting a starter. 50 magical power, 10% CDR, and 20 MP5 is pretty insane. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's really good. Rose Spike Earrings builds into Manticore Spikes or Fey Blast Hoops. Health, HP 5, MP5. It's there, you know? It exists. If you're not losing lane, it's not a big deal. Exactly. Alright, Griffin Wings Earrings. I think these are just, like, straight up bad, honestly. I think reducing the basic attack damage on hunters is bad. I think it's really, really bad. I don't know. And this might be something that I am just, like, straight up wrong on, but I feel like 40 physical power for a 15% basic attack reduction to have your projectiles move a little bit faster. I don't know. I am not sold on this item yet. I am not at all sold on this item. I feel like the damage loss is too great, and hunters are already in kind of a rough spot, to be honest with you. They did not get a lot of love this patch. In fact, they got less love because now there's another item with anti-crit on it. So, I built a Spectral and Celestial Legion the other day in a game, and it was free real estate. What if it was 100% so hit scan? They said that they thought that this was going to be hit scan anyways at 40%, and it's not. It's obviously not. I don't think this is good, honestly. I think this is something that's memey that'll be fun to use against bad people, but I don't think it's worth building. Alright, this is something that I'm gonna have to test more when I go back to playing Hunters, because right now, I'm not sold on it. I'm not sold on this at all. I don't think it's good, honestly. I've seen some people trying to work it into builds and trying to make it work, and I just don't think it's that good of an item. I think if you threw maybe some lifesteal on there, potentially, it could see some use, but at this point, it's basically like Fail Not, you know? It's like, it's there, but every other option is just better. That's the bottom line. It's like one of the worst options available for like potential hunter items. So, yeah, that's a no from me. Sphinx's Baubles. This is nuts. This is insane. Like, ability damage and healing reduced by 20% is good, but oh my gosh, dude, 60% CDR is just dumb. It's so dumb. It's fun, you know. But it feels terrible to be on the receiving end of any character that has a knock-up or a throw or anything like that when they have this item.
Sushi did.
Yeah. So, people are talking about Sphinx's Baubles on characters like Giannis, and he can dash around really fast and move around a lot and like do all the shenanigans that Giannis does, but he's not going to be hitting hard enough. That's the thing. He's not going to be hitting hard enough. He's going to be tickling people for damage. Giannis is already in a weird spot because he has his burst and people are so tanky now. Like, when the health buff happened, Giannis got kind of jammed. He's still very mobile, and his rotations still happen quickly, but, like, he can't kill anybody by himself. You know what I mean? And I don't think the cooldowns are fast enough even still. The best thing about Giannis at this point is being able to magic school bus people across the map, you know, every 30 seconds because you have 60% CDR. I don't think this item makes mages as crazy as people think it does. There are some mages that get pretty busted with it, in my opinion. I think this is probably still worth building on Vulcan. I think this might be worth building on, like, maybe Peebo, but he already has really low cooldowns anyway, so probably not. And he's also a burst mage. You want to be able to kill somebody in your combo, and that 20% ability damage reduction will hurt you a lot. But like Vulcan, who can throw out meatballs constantly and just keep knocking people up and displacing them, is dumb. You know, I think Sobek it would be insane on. I think even like Kuzenbo would be ridiculous with this. But he's already got cooldown shenanigans in his kit already, so who knows? You might be able to maintain 100% uptime on like some abilities as Kuzenbo. Pretty crazy, but. Worth on E-set? E-set support, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Without a doubt. E-set mid, I'm still not sure. I would have to test it more. Hades, Sumi, I like Hades. I think Hades is required to build too many other items. Hades relies too heavily on lifesteal as far as I know, but I'm also a bad Hades player, so that might be my mistake on that one, you know? Excuse me. Isn't there an item they gave flat CDR reduction on? Isn't that better for Hubla? That is the Rod of Tahuti one, and that's better when it works. You know? The 20% reduction is a lot. Yeah, 20% reduced ability damage is huge. Warriors or Guardians who can abuse CC and movement abilities? Yeah. I think this is a Warrior Guardian item, and they wanted it to be a mage item. I think it's too big of a damage hit, kind of like the other one, to be used effectively on most mages, but mages that like are kind of control mages, I feel like use it really well. So like obviously Nox support, E-set support, stuff like that. I think it's really sick. I feel like Bobble is better on assassins than mages. Yeah. I'll say. I think people who can stick in a fight and do a lot of shenanigans and have a lot of displacement get a lot of value out of that item. For sure. Manticore Spikes. So 350 HP, 30 HP 5, 20 MP 5, 20% cool crowd control reduction. I'm glad that they gave this crowd control reduction. I think if they didn't have that on there, it'd be a lot harder to pick up. Just like for money for stats. I haven't seen anybody use this effectively. Tier 2 earring, there's a couple of different tier 2 earrings, and we were looking at it, and I still think that the starters themselves are better. I don't think that any of these are particularly good enough to go over any of the starters, just because starters have passives like dealing true damage to minions, you know? That's on both of the mage starters. Hunters get a lot of sustain, like for health sustain from their starter items, and while this has MP5, like 20 power is okay, but I don't think it's good enough. Like, because tier 1 of like Death's Toll, I believe, has 15 power. If I'm not mistaken, they may have nerfed it to 10, but I just don't think it's worth it. And then obviously the support starters are insane for supports, so I would say no. I just don't think any of those are worth. Using Book of Thoth to stack power at the loss of a straight power? Huh. Does this give mana? It doesn't give any mana. Wouldn't synergize with Book of Thoth there. So you're saying using Book of Thoth to compensate for the lack of power because of passive? Maybe. I feel like Nuwa is someone who could also use Bobble well, because obviously the stun in the kit plus constant ultimates is kind of good. You know? But Manticore Spikes, when you hit an enemy with hard crowd control, they drop a spike on the ground. When you or an ally pick up that spike, they gain a buff that causes their next ability to deal bonus damage equal to 3% of their max HP. It's doubled if you're the one who picks up the spike. They last 7 seconds on the ground, they can't stack, and picking up another spike when you have the buff refreshes its duration. Okay. So, this is a cool way to give you or your allies burst. So, in theory, this seems like it could get good value, but I feel like people just don't look for it enough yet. Like, this is something that people are going to have to learn to play around, honestly. Vince, would you consider doing some match of the day? Probably not. I think Gleaming might be just good enough to consider, and Jeweled Stud's the same, but definitely not worth considering anything else. No, I don't think Gleaming is good enough at all, personally. It has no lifesteal. There's no health sustain on this item. I say, like, this is like building worse Gilded Arrow. Like, just straight up. Jeweled Studs is the only one that I think is remotely worth it, honestly. Personal opinion. And even then, it's close, and I think that typical starters are better. 3% max health, so probably just a case of CC with tank, pick it up, then hit him with your damage ability. Yeah, I think so too. I built it on Kabrakan, and I thought it was pretty sick there, because obviously a little bit of extra burst is nice, but I think until people like learn to use this item well, it's probably not going to see a lot of play. And again, percent health damage is very good right now against everybody, not just tanks. Warlocks is a popular item, Ethereal Staff is a popular item, and people build tanky anyways. So I think this item is good. I just don't know if it's worth it over other stuff, because obviously the lack of protections is pretty big. Now, Feyblessed Hoops I like a lot. I actually think this one is a lot easier, because for me personally, I didn't see the spikes on the ground. I just assumed I picked them up, honestly. Feyblessed Hoops feels ridiculous. This doesn't have a cooldown. You just drop flowers whenever you heal people. Hoops on Chang'e feels insane. Yeah, I think this on characters like Chang'e, Hel, Guan Yu, you know, people like that, Sylvanas, people who can easily apply that AoE healing immediately. Terra, you know. Terra obviously has a little bit of a longer cooldown on her 3 than I think the other ones do. But I mean, I'm just saying, I think this is legit. I think this item is really good. Horus, I think Horus has a slightly worse time with it because his heal isn't as big of an area. That's the biggest thing. With 60% Guan Yu is like a flower every 2 seconds, yeah. And the reason I like this item so much is this item feels like a counter to anti-healing, because you cannot reduce the amount of shields that people get from picking up shields, you know? Like, I think that this seems really, really good, honestly. Does that stack on Yamoja's shield, and is it per ally healed? It doesn't work with auto attacks, so it does specify with an ability. As far as stacking with the Yamoja shield, I don't know how that works. I would have to test it. I would have to test it out. Spear technically, what, Spear the Magus? Is that what you're talking about, or Sundering Spear? With Ankh and Sundering? Well, but yes, but also like after the effect is applied, it doesn't prevent the amount of shields that you can get from it. Does that make sense? I'm talking about like, I'm not talking about like, if you want to burn Asunder to remove a 7% shield, that's up to you. I don't think that's that worth it, honestly. You know? But like, does it reduce the effect of shields currently active, or does it reduce the effect of shields given to the target for the entire duration? Let's take a look. We're gonna look at Ankh real quick, and determine if that actually counters that as hard as we think it does. Starter items? No, relics. Okay. Let's look at Ankh. Blighted Ankh reduces healing, removes 75% of any currently applied shield. Do you see what I'm saying? Currently applied shield. See, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so people get anti-healed, okay? And anti-healing is really good right now. It's really easy to apply. It's really strong, okay? So even after people are anti-healed, you can still heal them and drop the Lotus, and they will still get a 7.5% shield, which usually, realistically, 7.5% health shield is probably more effective than the healing they would have gotten anyways. You know what I mean? Even without the anti-healing applied. 7.5% of your health, there's not much in the game that heals you for 7.5% of your health just when it's getting hit, especially if it's out of combat with the like dampening effect. So I'm telling you, I think Feyblessed Hoops are really good. I think they're really, really good. As long as people are actually picking up the flowers. How many flowers would Raw Circle drop? Let's say 1. It only applies once per ability. That's the thing. Like, sitting inside of Terra's heal does not apply multiple flowers. So as long as a god walks in, it drops 1 per god per ability. And that's why characters that use it like Chang'e are so good. Or Guan Yu. I think this item is insane on Guan Yu. I think it's absolutely cracked on Guan Yu. Yeah, it's 1 per ability. So, all in all, Feyblessed Hoops actually, like, the shields do not self-stack. No, it would just refresh your shield. Yeah. So you can pick up multiple if, like, you burn one, and then you can pick up another one, and then you burn one, you can pick up another one. But you can't pick up a whole bunch and get a massive shield for, like, what, 35% of your health or whatever it would be? 40% of your health? So, doesn't it drop multiple flowers if you heal more than one god? Yes, it does. It is 1 flower per heal per god. Like, per ability per god. That's how it works. So you can drop 5 flowers if everybody stands in there, and then everybody can pick one up. And it's like popping shell for your team. It's pretty nutty, honestly. And again, shields can't be life stolen from. So like that might be just what you need to trade out a couple of autos in a fight versus, you know, another hunter, stuff like that. It goes a long way. It goes a long, long ways. So like for me personally, the 60% CDR item is cool. Do you have to heal ally gods to proc it? Yourself or an ally? You can drop it for yourself too. Guan Yu can heal himself and get a 7.5 shield. I say Guan Yu can become budget Odin for a game. You know? Does the shield not disappear naturally? It does. How long does it last? Lasts for 8 seconds. 8-second shield. So over time, the flowers will disappear and the shield will go away on its own. It's not permanent. Alright, Brawler's Beatstick. So they reduced the duration of the anti-heal debuff to line up with the Brawling passive, which is good. Alright, so the anti-heal changes make sense just to make sure that there's nobody who's sitting on like 90% anti-heal for a second, because they catch both the anti-heal effect of Divine Ruin, Brawlers, or Toxic, and also get the like dampening effect outside of combat. So it's just some weird interactions. They're just making it so that it all lines up even. Boomba's Hammer. I like the changes here a lot. New stats. So Boomba's Hammer now has power on it for the upgrade, which I like. It felt so weird to me that this had no power. I think it's good that they shaved off 10% CDR, because now it's easier to fit into builds without overcapping. And I also like that this now, like, they remove the true damage effect, and it's your non-ultimate abilities are reduced by 1 second. So you're not getting ults like constantly. I think that's really big. So personally, I think the new Boomba's change is good. A lot of people are going to miss, you know, old Boomba's Hammer cheese, but I think it's really good. I think it's really, really good. Didn't they remove true damage? Yeah. Wait, they didn't remove the true damage? Oh, sorry. It's 80 true damage. Sorry. Yeah. I was reading the second half of the passive. Okay. Yeah, it's still there. I say, I'm just blind. It's okay, guys. We'll figure it out together. The true damage is still there, but they removed it from taking 1 second off of all of your cooldowns. And instead of being a percentage-based heal, it's now just 120 flat health. So, I feel like Boombas is no longer mandatory on Hades. And I probably should have read this a little bit closer, because I've been building Boombas on Hades, but we probably got to find something else to build instead. So, even still, it's probably okay on him, but not as good as it used to be. Yo, what's up, Rep? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing good. Alright, I like that they increased the conversion rate on Amulet of the Stronghold. I still haven't seen anybody build this item. I don't know if we will. I don't know if it's good enough yet. But, extra procs can be good. If we ever go back to building every single physical defense item, then I imagine this will start getting picked up again, but otherwise, I don't know. I think Amulet might just be the ugly stepchild here. They reduced the cooldown of the silence to 30 seconds. I feel like this is pretty hard to apply anyways. Like, most people just forget to do it. You know? I think realistically, like, Amulet of Silence probably just needs to be changed. I picked this up one time, I think, because I wanted to pick up a Heart Word. And I wasn't going to be building any physical defense items because of the fact that I was going against a 5 magical team. And it was somewhat useful one time. Like, the silence effect was useful one time in a fight. So I just don't think Amulet of Silence is that good, honestly. I think that's what it comes down to. I don't see the use of it. So all of these can be upgraded at level 15 now. I think this is a good change. Animosity at level 15 sounds crazy, but I don't think it's as bad as people think it's going to be. Silence is good out of Conquest? Yeah, that makes sense. Like, Sentinels, like, sorry, supports, not Sentinels. Supports in general already felt like kind of like they weren't getting the love they needed. They reverted it already? Oh, they're going back to 17? Wait, really? Wait, are you serious? I was really hoping they were going to rework both Heartward. I hope so too, honestly. It feels kind of uninspired, I'm not going to lie. Compared to how cool the other glyphs are, I feel like the support glyphs are kind of lame. Most people aren't good enough to play without a starter until level 15, not going to lie. True. They already reverted it to 17? When did they announce they were reverting it? That's a trip, dude. That doesn't really feel much different. I mean, it means you can level the starter item sooner, but, like, leveling the starter item sooner is big because, like... So, Sentinel's Gift increased the bonus gold from trigger from 7 to 8 is good, and this now adds 6 gold per 5 seconds. Like, this is probably the biggest thing. The fact that they gave Sentinels Embrace gold per 5 is huge. I love this change. Like, as someone who is a Sentinels believer, I'm a big fan of this. I like Sentinels, like, early game so much more than Benevolence early game. It's just so much easier, so much more low intensity. So, 6 gold per 5 seconds. Really, that didn't even feel extremely impactful. Like, it's the sort of thing where it'll just be easier for you to afford your items, you know? It's not going to feel super impactful, but still. I think Sentinels is good, honestly. I don't care what anybody says. I like Sentinels and it's sick. I'm a fan. I say. I like Sentinels too much. Alright, Relic Dagger. Increase the cooldown reduction from 30 seconds to 40 seconds. I still don't think we'll see this picked up too much. I think if the baubles hadn't come into the game and they'd made this change, then we'd see it getting picked up. But realistically, ability damage and the effects that the baubles give, or sorry, like ability cooldowns and the effects that the baubles give is like cooler than Relic Dagger. Like an extra 10 seconds off of your relic, I just don't know if this is something that people are going to ever pick up over that. Unless it's on characters who can't use them well. So like I might consider picking up a Relic Dagger on like a Fafnir or something like that, but even still. But that's my take on the matter. You know? Mitigations is greater than prots? True. True, but prots are still pretty freaking good. Alright. On paper the reduction seems good, but in a realistic sense it's not a huge deal. Yeah. And again, I think that like the boost that you get from Sentinels is how much easier the early game gets, you know? Increased minion buff from 20% health and attack speed to 25% health and attack speed. So, this seems irrelevant. Honestly, Tyrannical Plate Helm is one of those things that like seems really cool in practice, or like in theory, but really terrible in practice. I feel like if the Smite minions were basically like Paragon minions or like predecessor minions, where the minions are actually like really beefy and do something, this might be sick. But like even fire minions, it's like even fire minions, I'm like whatever. Like by the time that you get late enough into the game where you will have fire minions on your side, people are killing fire minions so fast and taking so little damage from them, it's never going to matter. Alright, Mail of Renewal. Increase the prots from 20 to 30 on both. Good change. Worth building? 50-50. It's a pretty cheap item and I like it. I actually like Mail of Renewal quite a bit. I love it in Assault. I think it's really good in Assault. I think people sleep on this item in Assault super hard. But otherwise, 50-50. Anti-heal is still easy, so who knows. Alright. Sledge. 30% crowd control reduction on this item now. I don't think this is what this item needs to bring it back into the meta, I'll be honest with you. I don't believe this is the answer. I say, like, cool, but like crowd control reduction, like, is already pretty easy to get from a lot of items, honestly. Like, I don't understand this buff specifically. The Pythags change I think is sick. Shield of Regrowth, cool. Let's say 15 power and 30 power for the buff duration. I mean, this just like makes the Hercules cheese a little bit cheesier, and that's fine, you know? He's always going to be cheesy. He's going to be doing the shenanigans. Anyone who builds this is shenanigans. I think it's a fun item, and I'm glad they gave it a little bit of love. I don't think this makes it broken. It just makes it like sometimes worth building more occasionally, you know? Or at least it allows you to justify it to your teammates a little bit better. Removing pen, added cooldown reduction, increased health. Honestly, I like this change for Pythags. It felt weird to have percent pen on it. It's a pretty low power item already. I feel like, honestly, the CDR makes it a little bit competitive with Soul Gem, and it's a little bit different. It's a little more team-oriented, you know? I think it's cool. I like this. I think that's good. Alright, Staff of Mirden. Old passive was removed. New passive, when your ultimate ability has finished casting, you gain Mirden's Rage, which gives 25% increased damage dealt. So, this is now a ability damage stimmy, and potentially attack, because it's just 25% damage. Is this ability damage specifically? Do you think regrowth will affect who it's good on? Yeah, of course. Getting 15 extra power where you had none is huge for Shield of Regrowth. You know, like that just means Herc's gonna hit harder when he speedy runs at you. That's cool. He gets a 15-second ult-ish. Huh. Okay, hold on. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying now. With Bobble, this actually does offset the damage of Bobble. It can only occur once every 45 seconds, so basically once a team fight. Overall, this does, like, kind of affect, you know, the downside of Bobble. It makes you hit for your normal damage for a few seconds. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. If this works on first Agni Bomb, this is going to be really good for him. It didn't before, you know? But if you stop casting afterwards, then... But how much does your ult hit for with Bobble? That's a good point. You would have to confirm all your follow-up damage. It does work on first Agni Bomb. That's really good, then. That's really, really good on Agni. Because that means your follow-up Agni Bombs, frag. Okay, so this now has 20% crit reduction to max stacks. That's nuts. The way that this is balanced is that you can remove the stacks, right? Theoretically. Is as the stacks get removed, it's not as bad, but even still. Alright, Celestial Legion Helm with Spectral Armor. Honestly, this makes this item a nice last item to pick up. on bruisers, in my opinion, who already built Spectral. I think it's pretty good. People have been asking for more crit damage reduction, so here is more crit damage reduction. Alright, Bracer of Illumination, buff duration increase from 8 to 12 seconds, good stuff. I really like Bracer. I think Bracer is really, really good. I think it's been good, but people don't use it well. Like, people who don't place the Bracer aren't looking for the Bracer. I feel like literally, let's say, when you buy Bracer of Illumination, it's like you're immediately, like, perpetually trying to give your teammates a high five, and nobody will high five you. Like, literally nobody will high five you. It's like you put down Bracer and you're like, hey guys, Bracer, 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 and just nobody will step in it. Nobody pays attention. They don't care. They don't want the effect. You literally have to walk up and put it in front of the Phoenix when you're sieging Phoenixes and hope that people will step through it, because they don't care when you tell them. Saying hi to girls and they just ignore you, oh, brutal. Or put it on top of them, but you can only put it on top of one person and they scatter like cockroaches, you know? It's terrible. It feels so bad. You know? Yeah. So it's a very situational item that could be a lot better if people would just pay attention to it. But there's a lot to pay attention to, so it's not easy. Drowned Ankh. Increased miasma damage from 2% to 4% of current HP. This adds up and I still don't think it's good enough. Cloak of the Avatar, increased knockback strength by 33%. Okay. I guess people weren't really building this comparatively. This is a fun item to cheese if you have no Wheelix on your team with, but that's about it. Otherwise, I don't think that's it. I just don't think this is the one, you know? Merlin has a flamethrower. Why can't Fire Giant have one? Well, Merlin's is literally his hands, so Fire Giant's got hands. He's got to get it together. I'm doing really good. Thanks for asking. Decrease the threshold for Tremble to occur from 30% to 15% max HP. Good change. I feel like Emblem of Trembling Terror was like not really affecting anybody at all. So, this happening faster and more consistently is really good. That's a great change for that. Is it still better? Is it better than the other one? No, but it's better now than it was. Sundering Blast, increase the damage taken from 5% to 7.5%. Cool. Nice. I don't really see Sunder built at all. People are kind of choosing to go more towards teamfight relics as opposed to like pick one person relics. So, Thorns of Overgrowth, increase the passive to 70 units. That's fine. I feel okay about that. Updated Silver Branch Bow to description to include that the attack speed is capped at 2.5. Yeah, so this is to make sure that people building Heavy Executioner don't think they're getting the value from it. Alright, Diminishing Returns. Now, this is something that a lot of people have wanted to talk about, so I'm probably going to skip out on reading chat for a little bit just to make sure that we go over this thoroughly for you guys. Because this is probably the thing that I get the most questions about, and this is probably something that, like, I would have Katao realistically make a video of. Like, on its own, separate from the patch notes even, because it's pretty important to talk about. Okay. So, the first thing is, Diminishing Return will now have a visible icon on the buff bar. So, something to kind of say, hey, you have this many stacks of Diminishing Returns, it looks exactly like this emblem right here, it shows you how many stacks it has, all that stuff, you know? So, realistically, I think this is a huge change. Like, being able to know when you're being affected by Diminishing Returns and how much you're being affected by it is really big. One thing that I would like to see in the game at some point is a bar just under the health bar that stays empty or disappears completely when you're not affected by Diminishing Returns, but then changes, like, it fills up and then shrinks as the Diminishing Returns are shrinking as well. Like, because it's, I believe it's how many seconds? Stacks of DR last for 15 seconds and it's refreshed every new application. So as the 15 seconds goes down, it's like a timer going down. So as the enemy, you can see when the enemy that you're fighting will no longer be affected by your Diminishing Returns. You know? Like, that's something that I would like to see personally, because you can see your own timer, but your enemies have no idea, like, how to know when they can affect you again with their CC. It's basically just keeping a mental timer in their head, and I feel like that would help a lot of people, being able to see when, like, the Diminishing Returns would end, personally. But either way, some people might just say that's, like, making it too easy. I don't know. I think that would be a good change. And, like, as representation for how heavy the Diminishing Return stacks are, it could increase the intensity of the color. So that would be my thought. So the max stack count is increased from 2 to 4. It used to be 2 stacks of Diminishing Returns at 40% each. Stacks of DR last for 15 seconds. It's refreshed whenever a new application is applied. Crowd control reduction per stack decreased from 40% to 20%. So this sounds like it gets nerfed, but it doesn't. Okay? DR can no longer be applied to yourself or allies, so you can't diminishing returns yourself. So like if you banish yourself or something like that, you know, somehow, or do anything strange like that, you can't apply diminishing returns to yourself to kind of buffer before an ability hits you. And this is the reason that reducing the stack from 40 to 20% isn't a direct nerf, and we'll explain that here. Roots are now considered a hard CC. True hard CC is a new sub-classification of hard CCs, defined as hard CCs that are not affected by diminishing returns. As such, true hard CCs apply 2 stacks of diminishing returns. So, things that apply 2 stacks, banishes, grabs, knockbacks, knockups, polymorphs, and pulls. Let's say. So, oh, sorry, no, sorry. These are the ones that are not affected by diminishing returns. Is banishes, grabs, knockbacks, knockups, polymorphs, and pulls. Because once you get knocked up, there's nothing that you can do to stop the knockup from happening. Your character is in motion for the full duration, no matter how many stacks of diminishing returns you have on you. That's why I think Sobek is so good right now for his pluck and his knockup. Characters that displace, things like that. I say you are there for the full duration, okay? So like, hard CC is basically stuns, roots, things like that, you know? Because root is now considered a hard CC. So, hard CCs apply 1 stack of diminishing returns, and their durations are affected by the number of diminishing returns the player has. So, these apply 2 stacks of DR, okay? So you pretty much apply 40% with 1 Herc knockup. His stun afterwards applies 1 more stack. So essentially, once you are finished with the Herc combo, you have 60% crowd control reduction, because the knockup applied 40%, okay? And then, obviously, your driving strike applied another. Would it be pushes? Let's say. I'm trying to think if the push and the stun applies 2 stacks or not. So, either way, let's say, soft CCs are now defined as any crowd control that makes it more difficult to do a specific action, including basic attacks, non-movement abilities, and movement inputs. Soft CCs neither apply nor are affected by stacks of DR. So Intoxicates and Trembles are now considered soft CCs, as well as, I believe slows are also included on the list. So, those are not affected, and that's good. But Kumbhakarna has a root, and he has a mez. And that's pretty rough for Kumbhakarna. Individual abilities can apply more than 2 stacks of DR if they include multiple types of CC. So, Horse is better than I thought, that's my bad. Slows were always soft. Yeah, slows aren't too bad. But obviously, like, the root into the knockup is pretty rough. That's pretty rough. But the good news is, the root into the knockup is his whole combo. He doesn't have any more hard CC to do after that, and that lockdown should be enough to burst somebody realistically. Let's see here. Ao Kuang. Moving on to God Balance. Let's say, decreased time it takes to gain a stack from 12 to 10 seconds. So, small buff for him. Water Illusion, increased magical power scaling from 60% to 70%. Cool. Let's say, so right on. I mean, I guess that's neat. This feels like a weird buff to me, just because I don't know how good it is to be able to do more damage when you teleport away from somebody, but maybe some Ao Kuang players will style on people and get kills. Who knows? Yeah, it seems like a strange thing to buff in his kit. Alright. Cerberus increased the healing reduction applied to nearby enemies from 20% to 25%. That's actually pretty big. Nice little quality of life for Cerb. And a little bit of extra damage on the paralyzing spit. I feel like he already had some good pressure. Yeah, so he said he's heavily affected by the DR changes, particularly on his ultimate, so he's getting a buff and a revert to compensate. So he gets hit by the changes pretty hard, so good stuff. Does Cerb now actually get 100% anti-heal or just 95? I'm not sure. Not sure how that works. Alright, Cupid got a buff. I talked about this when I saw that Cupid was getting the Zim skin. I was like, Cupid's not good enough to get a skin. They're gonna buff him, for sure. And they buffed Cupid, and now it's there. That's it. So, he got a buff to his base healing per heart, which seems strange, but cool. I guess it's helpful during the laning phase. Late game when you're trying to like push and heal people up and do things like that. It still feels strange having healing on a hunter, but it makes sense because it's Cupid. His Heart Bomb increased damage to minions from 50 to 60% on both. That's pretty good. Discordia got a Strife buff, which makes sense. I feel like her being the burst god that she is has felt a little bit rough as people have gotten health buffs. It's a lot harder to 100 to 0 people, so a little bit of extra damage on her Strife feels kind of good. 20 extra damage across the board, and reduce the cooldown on her dash, so she's going to be a little bit safer and get more cooldowns. Okay. Hera buffs for God knows what reason. Increased cooldown reduction on Argus from 1 second to 1.5 seconds. Increased cooldown reduction on Commanding Presence from 0.33 to 0.5. I see them reverting this with how dumb the cooldown stuff is right now, honestly. I think it's so dumb. I think Hera just uses it way too well, to be honest with you. I think she goes absolutely bananas. Like, as soon as the cooldowns come online, she's flying. Alright. Hercules, Driving Strike cooldown reduced from 14 to 13. Decrease the cooldown of Earthbreaker from 14 to 13, and then, 12 to 11? So, he can hit the combo more often. He got a little bit of love because the Diminishing Returns kind of got him good, so that's fine. This one makes me so happy. Hunbat's Overhand Smash, Knockback and knock up and Knockback immune while channeling this ability, and a damage increase to it. Hunbat's, I feel like, has been hit by Skill Bloat more than any other jungler. His kit comparatively just feels so outclassed. Like, it's pretty much if you don't have ult, you're not killing people. So, I think Hunbat's personally, like, probably could use a little bit more love, but he's got a really fun kit, and I love him. Nike buff. I say, one thing that Hi-Rez mentioned during the show is that we were literally in a basic attack hunter meta for a while there, and they still weren't seeing Nike get picked. Her barrier formation literally stops people from shooting auto attacks at her, and she still wasn't getting picked. So I don't know if it's just a kit problem because she has 2 abilities in her kits that are channeled, and that's really bad when it's so easy to interrupt, but man, Nike just feels like it ain't it. Alright, Pele, increase return damage from 20 damage per second to 30 damage per shard. That's a pretty big buff, actually. Like, people sit in those and they don't realize how hard they're swinging, so I think this is a good change. I like it personally. I don't think that this is going to make her broken. I just think it's like a little bit of extra helping her clear. This makes Pele solo a little bit better. I think this is cool. So, Serket Death's Bane damage got reverted. And she has 50% mitigation in her ultimate now. So, that's a lot of mitigation. That's a crazy amount of mitigation. Does this mean Serket will actually stay alive when she jumps onto somebody's back? Probably not. I don't think so. I think she's still a sitting duck and still gets absolutely destroyed. Unless she's in the best case scenario, you know what I mean? Alright, Shackles now deals 40% extra damage to jungle monsters. So Ares jungle got a little bit better. But only because of the Shackles, which seems strange. Danzaburrow also deals extra damage to jungle monsters. So 40% extra damage to jungle monsters on Danzaburrow. I mean, it seems strange that they're leaning into the Danzaburrow jungle angle, to be honest with you. I've never been a fan of the Danza jungle. I feel like people enjoy riding the rocket and like firing it into people and blowing up and like getting that sick gank, but otherwise, the Morrigan. Deadly Aspects deals 30% extra damage to jungle monsters. Alright, so Chang'e is getting base HP from 574 to 650. Increased base HP per level from 84 to 88. And total health at level 20 from 2,254 to 2,410. So they're trying to make Chang'e tankier. But yeah, they're trying to lean into the Bruiser Chang'e angle. I like this personally. I think this is good. I think this also just like, even if you're not building Bruiser Chang'e, like, this is good for her in general. This also makes her just a little bit tankier when she's in mid lane and has to step up to contest the wave. Having to stand in the wave is rough, you know? Minions now take 100% damage from the return swing. Say hello to the return of Thor solo, Thor mid, Thor literally anywhere. Chang'e really destroyed solo yesterday on our team. Yeah, she really did. She put in the work. Chang'e had an extra buff listed that she will not be receiving. She will only be receiving the HP buffs. Zhongkui's buff was higher than intended. His base physical procs will be 15.2. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Alright, so Chang'e only got the total health buff, correct? Either way, I say tankier Chang'e is better Chang'e, so I'm here for it. Zhongkui increased base physical procs from 11.2 to 15.2. Wait, what is... Hold on, one more time. His base physical protections will be 15.2. Oh, so they buffed him higher. Okay, I see. I see. So they must have, like, changed this and made it, like, a bigger buff than they intended it to be. That's all the health buff. The confusion was that it was to say that she had extra minion damage. Oh, okay. They must have adjusted the patch notes then. Alright. Used to be 18? Jeez, dude. 18 fizz prots? That's crazy. Okay, so non-conquest balance changes. So, all of you non-conquest players out there, I kind of want to know how you feel about this. I already know how dual players feel. Dual players feel like they're getting jammed again, and they are. Dual players stay getting jammed. I don't mean you guys. I'll say, dual players, we know that Smite already hates you. It doesn't matter. But everybody else. They're gods, they're getting adjustments now, pretty much. based on their performance in non-Conquest game modes specifically. So they will feel different in Conquest than they do in other game modes. Oplush, minus 5% damage to gods, minus 10% damage to minions, plus 5 to non-ult cooldowns, and plus 10% ultimate cooldowns. So, Oplush, widely regarded as the best non-Conquest character and the worst Conquest character, now isn't quite as good in non-Conquest. Now, I think some of these changes are really good because a lot of these characters that they're adjusting were really oppressive in these game modes and controlled these game modes, and if somebody picked these characters, you probably never had fun. So we see Oplush, Artemis, Ares, Khepri, Zeus, like all get the nerf stick. They all got beat up in good ways. I think that's good. I think it makes sense, you know? Oplush was king of assault, yeah, and he was disgusting in joust, you know? Like, it was just, he was straight up oppressive, you know what I mean? Non-Conquest changes are poo-poo? Okay, why are they poo-poo? I like it personally, just because I like the fact that they're at least attempting to cater to the audience that isn't the hardcore sweats. Like, good changes are bad changes, imbalanced or balanced. I like it because they're trying to do something for the people who will never touch Conquest. Like, they're trying to at least have some effect on the people who have had a stale meta in Assault, where it's literally Oplush and Zeus just running the show forever. Because reasons. Because their kits are just designed that way, and they will always be good. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's cool. You know? I think it might give other people a chance to shine. Now, might this be too heavy-handed? Might this be a step in the wrong direction? Maybe, but at least they're walking, right? At least they're not just sitting still and being stagnant, right? Like, that's something. You know what I mean? Like, I give them props for that. Zeus got the nerf bat. Ao Kuang, minus 5% damage taken. Reduced cooldowns and reduced ultimate cooldown. So pretty much they tried to do things to bring assassins a little bit in Assault, because assassins typically struggled. Giannis got a 10% damage buff. This is something that I would like to see apply to Conquest too. I'm not gonna lie. Just because I feel like as a mage who kind of relies on his 2-1 combo to be able to deal damage effectively, he can't pick anybody. Late game Giannis 2-1 combo removes his escape. Okay, so you have to invest it. Your only other escape is just your little like thing that you put down. But it removes his escape, and then also like kind of forces you to be in a predictable location so you can guarantee the next hit on the combo. I think Giannis is just in a bad spot right now. So, Set got a buff. Set boasts the lowest win rate in any mode. I wish they had said what the number was. They didn't announce it on stream, and I really, really wish that they had just said what the number was going to be. Serket minus 10% damage taken, plus 5% damage to gods. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So that is patch notes.